Across America, something has shifted. It seems the culture is growing dim. We live in an age of noise, endless headlines, constant alerts, and voices competing for attention. But beneath the surface, people are asking deeper questions. We found that 71% of Americans say it's very important to have hope in their life. The world is hungry for hope, and we have the answer. In fact, 66% say they're open or very open to having a conversation about the Christian faith with a friend. Not resistant, not hostile, but open. But here's the heartbreak. 6 out of 10 say their Christian friends rarely, if ever, talk about their faith. We've stopped speaking. So why the silence?
Hello, hi. Would you like to learn how to share the gospel?
How many of you are a little bit nervous about that? Raise your hand.
This is the call.
Mike Shepard was a man who began attending our home Bible study. And he had just come from a church environment that had, frankly, lacked in a lot of areas. And in one of those areas, it was evangelism.
And so he had it on his heart. What is the best way to not only evangelize, but teach people to evangelize?
We had a DOS system, and Mike was populating that with zip codes. How many homes are in this zip code? And how are we ever going to reach these people?
And realized it would take him about 483 years to evangelize to the whole community.
We had our prayer meetings, and Mike would begin to weep over our inability to reach all those homes. It just so happened that I was at a conference, and I heard about a church in the Pacific Northwest and Seattle area that was hosting Evangelism Explosion. I knew that Mike wanted to experience more in his Christian life. He was hungering for God, he was looking for every opportunity to serve the Lord, and he was doing exactly that in our home group. And so what happened was, I said, hey Mike, come with me. I'm gonna fly up to Seattle. I'm gonna sit in this course. The pastor has given me permission to do this. Let's go together and let's go out and do what they're gonna be teaching us. And he went with me. We got on the plane at LAX, Los Angeles, and we flew up to Seattle. We didn't know anybody up at this church that we had heard about that was hosting Evangelism Explosion. And we were there about an hour before the class started. We introduced ourselves, told them where we were from and what we wanted to do. They were kind enough to say, yeah, sit in with us. And then when we go out after the course, we're going to go house to house. We went to, I remember, a very quaint, beautiful little residential community just outside of Seattle. And the church that was hosting, they began to knock on the doors. And I got to tell you, I remember Mike and I not saying anything, but looking at each other like, with approval, like, wow, that was awesome. Okay, let's go to the next door. And I think by the third door, Mike had said, can I try it? can I try it? And they were so gracious, and they said, yeah, go for it. Mike did that, and then I said, well, now it's my turn. And so I think it was the 4th door. Then we packed up and came back home, talked about it all the way back home.
One of the genius aspects about EE is that it's an experiential ministry. You come and you see it. It's not something you just hear about or you read about. And so from the very beginning in our clinics that we would model, you would experience it. So when Jack and Mike came up to Washington State, what they got to do was experience EE. And it was, I believe, that experience, the excitement that they saw in the eyes of the people that were participating, the fruit that came from going out and actually sharing the gospel with others, and the discipleship that happens automatically in the lives of believers that are part of that. I think that's what he fell in love with.
So we got the Evangelism Explosion binder, the workbook, and we began not only reading every page, we were reading every word because, to be honest with you, we were new to it. And we wanted to make sure that we were really doctrinally based. So we just really began to dissect everything. And here's the great thing, the more we looked into it, the more that we were excited. Our hearts began to rise, as it were, as dough, until we were plump with, this is great. We can't wait to do this. And when we came back home, Mike and I got about 3 other brothers together, and we began to teach what we were taught and shared it, and we went out and practiced it.
Mike Shepard was going out on his own and just going door to door until he came across this and realized, wow, I can teach somebody, that can teach somebody, and they can teach somebody.
When we came back, lit up and excited, other people in our congregation wanted what we had.
Jack's always been about discipling people. The fact that he could see this really is like throwing gasoline on a fire. This is an accelerant for discipleship in the life of a Christian.
And so we took the body of believers that we had, and it wasn't many. I mean, listen, the Bible says, do not despise the day of small things. Couple that together with the scripture teaching us, if you are faithful in little, God will make us faithful in more. So you put that together in your recipe, and that's exactly what happened. We began to replicate what we learned from Evangelism Explosion, renaming it for our church, The Call. We replicated or reproduced that in other people. And we challenged them by simply saying this: do you have people in your life that you love, but they're not yet on their way to heaven? We want to equip you on how you can share the gospel with them in a way that you will know that you're delivering the truth. They will know that they're either accepting or rejecting the Lord Jesus Christ, but at the very least, you'll be able to plant the seed. Are you willing to sign up for a course?
I've heard Pastor Jack say, if your Christianity is boring, you're doing it wrong. John says, if your Christianity is boring, join the call.
Okay, that's my name. That's my phone number. If you go to thecallresources.com, this will show you.
35 years later, it has become really one of the most iconic and desired ministries of our church to this very day.
I got involved 4 years ago in the call, and I got involved because I had been mentoring kids for years, and one of them, when she was 17, just before going off to college, we were at our last year of camp together, and she said, I think I'm interested in Jesus, but I don't know exactly what that means. It took me off guard. I had no idea that she was going to ask that, and somebody came up and started interrupting the question, and I let that happen. I was like, oh, whew. And I forgot about it. She went off to college, she came to know Jesus, and in her testimony when she got baptized, she said, I asked my mentor about Jesus, and she said nothing. And on a serious note, that broke me. The whole point was that these kids would come to know Jesus, and then when asked, I said nothing.
I had a call with my cousin, and I didn't do a very good job. So easy for me to talk about Jesus to anybody, but then when it comes to actually sharing my faith, I was noticing that every time I try, I start going down rabbit holes.
A friend from work had told me about Calvary Chapel Chino Hills, and he said, well, you should really listen to Pastor Jack. And so I said, okay, I will. A few days later, the Lord said so clearly, be a woman of your word. So that Sunday, I turned on Pastor Jack.
Next thing you know, a commercial came on talking about Evangelism Explosion and learning how to share your faith. A light bulb went off and I said, oh my goodness, this is what I need to do.
I saw these signs. I'm like, I saw a sign from God, but it was actually like 2 billboards on the big screen at church saying the call.
When I saw evangelism on the screen, immediately God said, go.
I couldn't believe that. So I took pictures of it, couldn't wait to get up and sign up.
The best part is that you guys get to test each other. That's the great part. So you mess.
Once I joined, the first thing they said is, you need to go get prayer partners. And so it forced me to now ask women that I knew if they would actually be my prayer partners.
Every person that participates has prayer partners. So I've been prayer partners with some people, coming along beside them each week to pray for them.
The process that we have is there's a level training.
Level 1, 2, 3, and 4.
For level 1, you go over the EE book in different parts, and then you break into small group training. And in your small groups, you have 10 to 20 people that you get to know over the course of 10 weeks. You pray with them, you send them texts, you call them to pray with them during the week to see if they have any questions about their homework.
You got your team? Team 8 is out. Wow.
Since I've been trained, I would say my life feels like in some ways kind of started.
Afterwards, we did 2 questionnaires. We did one gospel presented. Our divine appointments name was Dominic.
Been able to share with my friends' kids, and I've shared, all of the kids that I've mentored, every single one of them I've shared the gospel with. Every single one. One of them I shared the full gospel twice, and then she started repeating things back to me.
So, what is what are we hoping that everybody learns here? It's actually the title of the gate, I believe. Witnessing as a way of life. So I want to demonstrate witnessing as a way of life here.
The first time we came to the call, they do like a demonstration of a gospel presentation.
Who is it?
Hi, I'm Sugar. We're from Calvary Chapel Chino Hills.
Okay.
This is Josh and this is Keaton. How are you tonight?
What did I do wrong?
You did nothing wrong. Well, you visited our church.
Oh, yes. We did.
And we were coming to say thank you for coming to visit our church.
Okay. It's really cold outside. Come on in.
Oh, thank you so much. It is cold outside. I hope you love it.
Have a seat.
Thank you.
I happen to have 3.
I'm watching this demonstration, and then he's like, the whole time, oh my gosh, what a horrible demonstration. Nobody would open the door for us. Like, that is so ridiculous. They're, setting us up for failure.
Fingers crossed, right? That we're going to get to heaven. He wants us to be assured of it. So can I ask you another question?
Sure.
All right. So if you were to stand before God and he was to say, Greg, why should I let you into my heaven? What would you say?
And God has a sense of humor, because the first time we went out, that's literally what happened. We went to a door and the leader said, hi, we're from Calvary Chapel Chino Hills. And the guy said, let me put on my shirt, come on in, tell me, what do you have to share with us? And he was literally like, God heard what I said during the service. And so from that moment, it blew up our faith.
There's so many things that happen in this world that allows us to ease into the questions that they have us ask. And that is, if you died today, do you know for sure that you'd go to heaven? And the second question is, if you stood before God and he asked you, why should I let you into my heaven? What would you say? It gives me a point of reference of where they are.
So the question is, if you died today, do you know for certain that you would go to heaven?
As a teacher, you know that you can share something and they pick up 10% of it. But when they have to go out and do it, when they have to go on the job training, when they're going out there and doing it, they're picking up everything that you've been wanting them to pick up.
Okay, so you got this. The guy in the old pink. You just say hi. Good do it.
All right, a couple more questions. Have you come to a place in your life that you know for certainty if you were to die today, you'd go to heaven?
Like these, just do it, Shauna. Just ask these young men. They'll probably say no, but just ask. Hey guys.
Hey guys. What's up?
We're from. Go ahead.
We're just taking a spiritual questionnaire.
Okay.
Would you guys mind answering a couple questions
Yeah.
for me? Okay.
Oh, wonderful.
Awesome. Let me get to the right page here. Okay. One last question.
All right.
If you were to die today and you stood before God, and He asked you, "Why should I let you into heaven?" What would be your answer?
The call ministry has equipped our people to be always ready. They're just always ready. Because why? They're so thrilled to share Jesus. I never have to encourage them to go share Christ. They're doing it. And I get to meet the people in the courtyard or in the foyer that have come to faith at their own front door.
I love that the premise of the book is it's about evangelism and discipleship. A lot of people sign up for it and a lot of people think of it as an evangelism training class, which it absolutely is, but it's also about discipleship.
The discipleship training that you do through the EE method really helps people. I think it just consolidates their relationship with the Lord.
Everyone kept saying, you should join the evangelism ministry, the call at Chino Hills. It'll really change your life. And so I was like, going out and sharing the gospel was like the last thing I ever want to do. So I was trying to be obedient. It's like, all right, let's do it. So I was doing it, I was gonna do it, but I was terrified.
We go and we sit down and we get the little notebook, right? And I open it up and there's the questionnaire and I said, Jason, you said that you would never do this ministry. And it literally changed our lives.
I had a burden for Knoxville. I had a burden for Tennessee. I literally would go to the University of Tennessee and places like that trying to share the gospel. And it was very frustrating, quite honestly. I did that for quite a while and never really saw the fruit from that, but that was my heart. So I focused more in on teaching. Well, my daughter, she had in her heart, without my prompting, she wanted to start praying and start taking teams out.
And so I started a little team that would go out downtown and worship and pray and ask for God to move, soften hearts. And if people came up and asked us what we were doing, we would share the gospel. So we were doing more of like the prayer and worship aspect of sharing the gospel for a couple of years.
As God developed it, it still needed to go to that next level. It seemed like, okay, we're doing it, Lord, but we need that next level. Well, here comes Jason and Courtney Yagodzinski from Chino Hills.
But it was actually my parents called and said that they were going to be moving to Tennessee. And they said, well, the Lord told us He has a work for you guys there, and if we don't go and lead the way, you guys won't go.
I'll go out, I'll take our oldest daughter, we'll go check it out. And when we landed, I just knew we were supposed to come.
I got an email from Courtney talking about this program that seemed like everything we had been praying for. So then Courtney and Jason, we just asked that they would pray about leading it.
And so we prayed about it for a while, and then we asked Pastor Mark, and he was like, do it, please.
Let's do this, let's go for it. And they took off with it. Having the training through Chino Hills, it was like instantaneous, it just took off.
Starting out, I was real skeptical. I was made a believer.
I thought it would be more like people kind of just pushing you, like, no, you got to go get out there and just let the Spirit guide you. But no, there's definitely a process to it, and I like that, honestly.
That's the commitment. Now, a lot of answers.
Everyone's hearts had been softened to evangelism, and now they had the steps and the way to do it. So many more people signed up and wanted to be a part.
And so they began to show up, take the classes, go out, and then we began to see this incredible fruit. I mean, they were going out in these sessions and coming back with, 10, 12 a night getting saved.
We did. We got to share the gospel with several people. We did have a profession of faith.
I loved it immediately, but it kindled a fire that I had never had before.
This ministry, it's near and dear to my heart because it's strengthened my faith in so many ways. I've seen God move in ways that I've never seen before.
It's really encouraging to see how God is using so many different people and you can see the growth in their spiritual life.
They're encouraging others around the church. Hey, let me tell you what we did Thursday night. Let me tell you what happened to me the other night in the grocery store.
And it builds a prayer ministry because every person has a prayer partner. A lot of people that are prayer partners will then join the evangelism ministry, because what we used to do is we would text or call our prayer partner, let me tell you what happened when I went out last night. And so it builds an excitement in them.
I would say probably in a lot of churches, you mention the word evangelism and the room gets real quiet real fast. But I would say now, here at Calvary Knoxville, as Pastor Mark stands up in front and says, hey, our evangelism team went out last Thursday night, let me tell you what happened. There is now an expectancy from the congregation. They know God's at work. They just are anxious to hear about all that's going on.
She invited me and she was like, you gotta come do this with me. And I was so on board. I was like, I'm there for it. I played club soccer, and so I wanted to share with everyone I encountered. I wanted to share with my teammates, my peers, my teachers, on college visits. I wanted to share with the coaches and the people I was staying with. And so it just, as soon as I went, it was just, I knew I was meant to be there, and I knew I was meant to learn how to share the gospel and how to be ready.
She was in high school when I first started here. And I went home and I was like, you have to do this ministry with me. You have to learn how to share your faith. Like, you're about to go off to college. You need to be equipped.
First semester for me was getting loved on and was getting trained up to have it here first and to really believe the words that I'm sharing with people and to grow that boldness to share it with others.
She went through level 1, she went through level 2, she went through level 3, and then it was time for her to go off to college, and she left the state.
I remember being in my first semester of college, knowing that I knew how to share the gospel, but I had a really hard time being able to bring it up in conversation. College is the most vulnerable age, right? Where you're figuring out what you believe in, you're figuring out your identity apart from your family, apart from your parents, apart from the culture that you were raised in. And when I came home and I was like, I have just been praying about how I can really get the word out and how I can share the gospel more often, and I want it right here.
I actually begged her not to get a tattoo. But she came to me and she said, Mom, I'm gonna get a tattoo. And she took this little pin right here and she tattooed the 2 question marks on her wrist. And she said, that's gonna be what holds me accountable to share my faith.
I knew it was gonna be for a purpose, and so I went back to college. I think my first time sharing it, it was in a group of like 5 or 6 girls.
Everyone wanted to know why she had 2 question marks on her wrist.
They all knew me as the crazy Christian girl. And so they were all like, Rain got a tattoo? Like, what did she get? And I was terrified, and I was like, here it is. And I laid out the gospel, and a lot of them were intrigued. Some of them wanted to pray the sinner's prayer and repent and follow the Lord and get involved in ministry. And some of the girls were so interested that we actually started a Bible study after. And a lot of these girls, they were not walking with the Lord, partying, same-sex attraction. Like, there was just a really big mix of girls, and they all wanted to come to the Bible study, and so that was really, really awesome to walk through with them.
And she ended up sharing her faith with the entire soccer team. Girls were getting baptized on the soccer team. They were having Bible study in her dorm. She would call me and say, like, what should we be studying? Send me something, like, send me whatever you're doing, whatever you're studying with your Bible study. And so to see her excitement and to see evangelism explode in Texas at a college university was amazing to me.
Just being able to know that my whole soccer team knows the gospel. I mean, I would have never guessed that I was sharing the gospel with 15 girls on my soccer team, let alone leading a Bible study. Really, when you're sharing the gospel and when you're sharing EE, you're just sharing what you do in your own life.
So yes, the revival we've been praying for has already begun. The world is waiting, and they are listening. And now you've seen what happens when God's people are trained and begin to speak boldly.
She accepted Jesus. So it gives me so much confidence.
And I think it really stirs up people more to be doers of the word.
In living rooms, on soccer fields, in their cities. Unashamed, multiplying, unstoppable.
Hey, we're doing a spiritual questionnaire. Can I get your opinion by asking you a few questions?
Sure.
Awesome.
To be used by God, I think, is the most incredible thing in the world.
It will literally look like the book of Acts.
I'm finally doing what I was always supposed to do.
One church and even one person can change the world.
A church that is just on fire. And what pastor does not want that?
It's not just possible, it's happening.
When you see the power of the gospel in real life, in real time, and then you think, why am I not doing this every day, all the time?
This is what Jesus called us to do to his disciples, and to make his name known, to make his gospel known to the world.
And it's not about bringing in numbers to the church. It's about bringing in numbers to the kingdom.
Seeing like the people that God has touched through us, and he's been able to use us in like miraculous ways.
Go from sitting in the pews to being out in the highways and byways, living out the gospel. There's nothing like it.
This is your moment. Will you answer the call?